All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Cruising Complete. My name's Barry. I'm going to be your host for this episode of our weekly cruise news updates. Got a lot of big news to cover today. A lot of really good and positive news. We're not going to talk cancellations. What we are going to talk about is more cruise ports opening up. Cruises starting all over the world. Also going to talk about the United States. When is cruising going to actually start in the United States? Well, it may have already started. We're going to dig into that. Some really big stories coming up. Let's cruise into it. Alright, so we're going to start off with one of the most captivating news stories of the week in the cruising world. If you follow social media at all, you've probably already seen this. MSC Lyrica over in Greece caught on fire. What we know so far is supposedly the fire started in a lifeboat on deck, I believe it's deck 5 or 6, on the starboard side of the ship. Now there was video going around social media that somebody was actually there at the port recording, showing the actual fire, flames shooting off the side of the ship, a lot of black smoke. The damage, it seemed like it sustained quite a bit of damage. It was a pretty good sized fire. They come out and said so far no injuries have been reported. That's a very positive sign. Thankful to hear nobody got hurt as of this point. Hopefully it stays that way. Carnival this past week had their 49th birthday. So in March of next year, they'll be turning the big 5-0. So next year they have planned a lot of what they call celebration cruises. They're going to have a lot of throwback deck parties and sail away parties, midnight buffets coming back, special menu items, special entertainment, and just all sorts of different stuff. They're going to throw a big party for their 50th birthday on some of these sailings next March. So if you're interested in that, go to their website, look for their celebration sailings. There's a lot of cruise ports that are opening back up. The UK, England says we're going to start cruising May 17th, cruise ships can come back. Now that doesn't mean that cruise ships will actually start on the 17th, that's not a hard date. They have to call their crew members back, get their crew members trained, get everything ready to go for a May restart. So it may be a couple weeks after that by the time they get all the itineraries on their website, everything's sold. So it may be actually into June before they do actually start sailing, but it's a positive sign that they are opening up cruises in England. Crystal Cruises going to Nassau to cruise. They're going to sail out of Nassau, Bimini, and do ports around the Bahamas on, I believe, 7-night sailings. So there's another port that's opening up. These cruise ships are getting tired of waiting on the CDC. They're going elsewhere. We already covered about possibly Cozumel having cruise ships. Royal Caribbean's going to Barbados. Royal Caribbean's starting in Israel. They're already in Singapore. They're going to all these other places they haven't cruised from before because they're tired of waiting on the CDC. We need to get in gear and allow cruising to happen, which is leading me to the next story, which is the biggest story of everything that happened this past week. Actually, it's the biggest story of everything that's happened in the past months in cruising. A long time we've been waiting on this. So before I get into that, I do want to invite everybody to subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notifications so you'll get notifications of new videos. It helps us out of town, we really appreciate it, but also hit the like button, because what that does is it tells YouTube we're doing a good job. It'll share our video with everybody else so they can also get the great information. Not just helping us, it's helping everybody, and that's what we're here for, is to help everybody and share the information. So we appreciate every one of you for doing that. Thank you so much. Let's get on to the biggest news story of the week. American Cruise Lines. Small cruise company, Riverboat Cruises, okay, they started sailing yesterday. That's right, yesterday. Why is this big news? Well, it's big news because they're sailing out of a U.S. port. How is that happening? The CDC hasn't given guidance. I don't know. I don't know how these small companies are starting to sail on these riverboats. Another company starting to sail, American Queen Steamboat Company, is going to start sailing on Monday. So I don't know how they're allowed to, and these big ships are being controlled by the CDC and not allowed to sail. Maybe this is a good sign though for cruises to start in the future if some of these smaller companies start up. Now what we know about the American Cruise Lines, it's a small ship, they're an independent ship. sailed out of Amelia Island, Florida. Now, I live in Jacksonville, Florida, which is only about 40 minutes from Amelia Island. So I didn't believe the story when I first heard it. So I called personally American Cruise Lines and said, hey, are you guys really sailing? They said, absolutely we are. We are leaving on Saturday. So I'm sitting there. I didn't drive to the port because I didn't know if they were going to let me in the port or whatnot to see it. So I didn't drive to the port, but I did get on Cruise Mapper, and they definitely did sail away at 1:56 p.m. yesterday. Now the cruise is going up. It's going to cruise to the Intercoastal. It's going to go to Jekyll Island, St. Simons, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, Beaufort, South Carolina, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and then it's going to finish in Charleston, South Carolina. It's a 7-night itinerary, so I got curious and looked at it. Starting price, a little over $4,000 to get on that cruise. So it's a little bit pricey. It's a river cruise. I've never done a river cruise, but it's just interesting to see that cruising is starting now in the U.S. That's the first ship that I've heard about or seen that has actually started cruising. It's not a big ocean liner, it's just a river cruise, but it could lead to bigger things happening if the CDC now looks at this and says, okay, well now we do have cruises in the U.S. that are being successful. We know they're successful other places on the larger cruise ships. It's all going to help. Every bit of positivity we get from cruises actually cruising is going to help things open here in the United States. So that's definitely great news. Probably the biggest news we've heard in months as far as the United States goes. So the last story that we want to cover today, Royal Caribbean is purchasing more land. So what we know about it is the Grand, excuse me if I butcher this name, I think it's called Grand Lucayan or Grand Lucayan Resort in Freeport, Bahamas. There's a plan, it's a whole rejuvenation process. They're going to redevelop the Freeport Harbor. And it's going to have this 526 room hotel, this resort, convention center, spa, a big water park facility. I don't know if it's going to be similar to Coco Cay or not, but it'll have a water park facility. Outdoor activities to include zip lining, ATV adventures, stuff, off-road adventures, stuff like that. Restaurants, bars, nightlife, entertainment, all sorts of stuff, and just redevelop this whole property. They're going to redo the harbor. It's going to have 2 new cruising berths there. Maybe in the future Freeport could be a place that they could, do cruises out of Freeport. They seem to be going all over the world, coming up with these new ideas and new places to have home ports for cruise ships. Maybe that's one in the future. We'll see. That's going to be it for our cruise news stories today, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I hope you liked the video and subscribed to the channel, shared it with all of your friends. Question for the comments. When do you think the large-scale cruise ships will start sailing again in the United States? Do you think it'll be summer, maybe June? They've already canceled through the end of May. So will it be June, July? Some people say it won't be till the end of the year. Throw down in there in the comments and let us know when you think cruising is actually going to resume again in the United States. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next weekend.